Today we're taking a look at Stella from the 2015 fall series Chivalry of a Failed Knight. I enjoyed the series way more than I was expecting, and Stella played no small part in that. She's just so good. This is my very first Broccoli figure, so I'm excited to find out what kind of a first impression they make on me. Nothing much to note with this box, although I do appreciate that the packaging, although standard, was very smart. This box was much smaller than I thought it would be. I also appreciate that they've clearly tried to match the colours of the box with the figure. All up, I do think this is a very solid figure, and I don't have too much to complain about, bar a few aspects. The first being Stella's facial expression. It's a bit odd, and not entirely in character. Stella is a very determined character, and it's hard to imagine her with an almost blank stare while leaving her mouth wide open, especially in that pose. It's a similar complaint to the one I had with Altair's Alicia Hart, and the fact that she has a slight blush confuses me. Like, yeah, Stella does blush a lot, but why in this figure with that pose? It doesn't really make much sense to me. And the second aspect is the base. Broccoli, how lazy can you get? Admittedly, I prefer it to be all black than plain white, but still, I mean, this isn't a prize figure here. Although I will admit that my eyes aren't exactly on that base, because they're on Stella, of course, because if you can get past those two details, and I completely understand if you can't, everything else is pretty solid. Maybe not amazing, but still commendable. I love the concept of having her uniform ripped. Not only is it interesting to look at, but it's also incredibly sexy, and a Stella figure that isn't sexy just wouldn't be doing her justice. Her ripped uniform certainly adds some lovely spice to what would have been a pretty plain figure otherwise. You'd probably say it's the highlight. Speaking of sexy, taking a look under her skirt and having my breath immediately taken away, I wish that they would have made her a cast-off figure. That would have been glorious and appropriate. This is a very dynamic figure with her pose and her hair and the ripped clothes and her bow on the back, which is almost comically large, adds to the sense of motion. Speaking of the bow, it does take up a lot of space. I can't really hold it against the figure, but it's something to note. And as I just mentioned, Stella's hair has some really nice motion to it, and although I don't think the sculpt is anything to write home about necessarily, I do appreciate that there's some very nice shading to it. The paint job on Stella in general is pretty solid and very competent, skin tone and eyes especially. I'm pretty happy with the detail on Stella's sword. The pattern or graphic on it is surprisingly elaborate when you take a good look at it, and I like that it's not just a flat colour, but it has that classic translucent fade, which, if you've been watching my reviews for a while now, you'll know that I'm quite a sucker for. While I'm disappointed with a couple of aspects, and it's certainly not the perfect Stella figure, there's still plenty here for me to be happy about. I certainly do not regret buying her. She's sexy and dynamic, and if that doesn't sum up Stella, I don't know what does. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and happy collecting. Bye-bye.